This is the Hog Central Podcast, sponsored by Oaklawn Sports, Arkansas's best sports betting app. Bet with the brand you trust. Bet with Oaklawn Sports. And now, here's your host, Steve Sullivan.
And welcome to the Hog Central Podcast. I'm Steve Sullivan, longtime sportscaster at Channel 7, going on 25 years at KATV. And I'm joined by David Bazzel, a Razorback success story out of Panama Beach, Florida. Signed with Lou Holtz out of high school, became a Razorback captain. Been busy since graduation.
Yeah, I've been overexposed, Sully.
Little Rock Touchdown Club, he started that. Several awards, a couple national awards, the Burroughs Award and the Cliff Harris Award. Congrats to you.
Thanks, Sully. It's great to be with you, man. It's always nice when you start off on a good note. Not many complaints.
Yeah, 70-0, and people are telling me, yeah, it was UAPB. But I look at it as like the Olympics. You have an opening race, usually a second semifinal race, and then a final. This was the first heat. And what you want to do in those early heats is build confidence.
Yeah, no question.
And I think for a new team, boy, you left War Memorial Stadium with a great feeling, offense and defense.
Yeah, Sully, if you go back a year ago, remember we were questioning, we've got Dan Enos, great reputation,
Yeah.
and KJ back, and
Yeah.
Rocket. And I remember the first, we couldn't block anybody.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, wow. I think we only had 9 rushing touchdowns all of last year, 12 games. I remember, and I didn't feel good about it. And I remember some people, I think Coach Pittman even sort of got defensive. We're just, we're working through this, and not this game, Sully. I think the team looked more athletic, looked like it had more depth, not many mistakes. Offense looked dynamic. So, check.
Jaquindon Jackson, I know as a former linebacker, you were impressed with him.
Yeah, I've been impressed with him, Sully. I went back and watched a lot of his video from Utah. He's a stud, and he's a big, strong kid. Didn't get much of a test Saturday, but I'll tell you, you put him back there, and then you got the threat at quarterback, you got tight end receivers. That combination of really talented guys, your number ones, really make us, how are we going to match up here? How are we going to, load the box? Are we going to double team somebody? But yeah, he's very physical. Got to hope he doesn't get hurt. But he's going to help us this year.
Saw the wow factor from Taylon Green. Not only the run, but that pass he made spinning out to Ty Washington. I wish he would do the routine things.
Yeah.
A couple of those. It was opening game and a couple of passes. He threw one behind a receiver and underthrew another receiver.
Sully, I had several people go, well, he didn't have a great game. You missed some throws. He did. He's not Ryan Mallett yet. He's not, whoever, Lamar Jackson. But you did see, I called a buddy of mine that was up in New York, and I said, just watch for a highlight tonight from Taylon Green. And we got it on the run where he ran 80 yards for I think it was a 36-yard run. And you're right, Sully, he's got the ability to really throw some great passes. We had Bobby Petrino on the Buzz on Morning Mayhem the next day over at Frank Fletcher's place. Everything he said, he was very happy. So if Bobby Petrino's happy with what he saw, I am too. But we did. We saw now, and that's on tape. Now, every defense that watches it goes, okay, that outside linebacker, that corner, am I going to come up, run support? Am I staying deep? What am I doing at linebacker? So already you've got some stuff on tape. It's going to be something defense has got to get ready for.
If you're Oklahoma State, how do you defend Taylon Green off that tape of the first game and his time at Boise?
Well, I think, if our buddy Bruce James would say you've got to be disciplined in your rush lanes. Everything's got to be disciplined. Whatever your game plan is, keep him within the box. Don't let him hurt you with his legs. And then, that's what you have to do. If you're disciplined, you can stop him. A good defense can contain that kind of guy. But he's so athletic, even your best player may be better than your best player on the corner. And so I think Bobby Petrino is going to roll him out, get him the opportunities. Let's test those defensive ends, those outside linebackers for Oklahoma State.
And we're going to learn more about the offensive line on Saturday.
Yeah, after watching Oklahoma State, Sully, they reminded me a little bit of us. They're physical, but they're not overwhelming. They're not at Alabama. They're not at LSU. So I think it'll be a bigger test for offensive line. But their defense at Oklahoma State's not big. They're not a big one, Sully. They're well coached. So I think this is going to be a really evenly matched game. It'll be interesting who wants it the most and who's the smartest.
Defensively, it surprised me with linebackers, so little starting experience in the group, and they all got around 20 snaps. I know as a former linebacker, you'd want as a starter 40 or 50. Does that send a message to you that maybe we're going to just play 4 guys to start the season?
Well, it reminds me, Sully, if you remember my good friend Ricky Williams, who ended up being a linebacker of the decade in the 80s. And so I was starting ahead of him, and I knew he was good. He was as good as me, and Coach was going to give him reps. So I said, that's okay. Listen, it's part of it. We're all getting reps. We're all getting rest. So I don't think there's going to be that kind of attitude. I think as long as they feel like you got 4 guys that are good enough to play, let's rotate them. Let's keep them rested.
Oklahoma State, Mike Gundy going into 20th year. Regardless of what you think of him, he's a nut, but 20 years is amazing in this era of college football.
He's been consistent. You're right. There's only a couple coaches that have that 20-year mark, and he's funny. His press conferences are funny, and he's built a winning culture. He continues to win. He continues to do it his way. He's a very good offensive coach, and it won't be a hostile environment because it'll be 11 o'clock there in Stillwater, but they've won a lot of games in that stadium.
They got a throwback tailback, Ollie Gordon.
Oh, yeah.
28 carries. Most teams go with 2 backs. Oklahoma State, it's Ollie Gordon. And that guy can do it all. He can catch. He can run. He blocks. He was the Doak Walker Award winner last year. If you got to pop him early.
You do. If you watched South Dakota State, rather, you saw that's where they started struggling, especially as the game went on. They would come up and hit him, and he'd just bounce off. And he's a really strong physical. You look at him.
He looks like a Dickerson at his size.
He is. He is built well. He's got good moves for a big man. So, again, as a guy who played against some really good running backs back in my day, I love the challenge of being able to face a guy like that. He's going to be a challenge. But, really, South Dakota State really had done a good job against him until the second half. And then he starts wearing on you. And, of course, they throw the ball out of the backfield to him. But he's a stud. He's going to be a good pro. He's physically gifted, and he'll be a challenge for us.
The quarterback, Bowman, wasn't stressed, kind of like Talon Green. I think the matchup I'm looking forward to is that this will be the first test for this Razorback defensive line.
Yeah.
If they can, with 4 guys, get some pressure on a good offensive line, a veteran offensive line.
A veteran offensive line, all 5 are. I think they have the top amount of returning starts, 211 starts, I think, in the country, which is number 1. Doesn't mean they're the best. Because if you look at the list, there's 2 or 3 other teams. Florida State was number 3. They didn't look too good the other day. So, and it's not. And they're a big, good-looking physical offensive line. But again, it's not an Alabama offensive line. I don't think it reminds me of us a little bit. So I think we can compete. I think it's interesting when you have a quarterback like Alan Bowman, Sully. This is his 7th year. 7th year of college football. I mean, he's like an NFL player, and so and he had a good game. He threw the ball well, and so
I thought the receivers played well too.
Yeah, so this will be interesting with our new linebackers, with a returning defensive line.
He's seen everything.
That's right, but it'll be curious to see what Travis Williams does. Does he come after him? Does he make him feel uncomfortable? Does he play a little, relaxed at first? It'll be interesting to see.
I think an overrated stat to a point is returning starters. For instance, Oklahoma State has a lot of guys returning on the defensive side of the ball. They were ranked 122nd in defense a year ago.
Right.
Do you really want those guys back?
I mean, listen,
we don't know about their defense because South Dakota State moved the ball on them. They had almost 400 total yards.
Sully, I hate to say this, but we were saying the same thing about our offense last year.
Yeah.
We had a lot of returning starters on the offensive line. Not a lot, but several that had been there, and they did not have great years. So you're right. I think that stat can sometimes be overrated. Like I said, this is going to be a game where you've got a lot of experience. You're going into a hostile environment. They're ready to play. Of course, Sully, we used to play Oklahoma State all the time.
Yeah.
Back in the 70s, and I never got a chance to play them. And so I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I like the 11 o'clock start. That's early. As you say, you don't have the fans juiced up. And so we didn't see – all I think we took away from UAPB is like, okay, I think we have depth.
Yeah.
We look more athletic. We look more confident. We look sharper. Offense looks more dynamic. And defense didn't make many mistakes. So, I think you walked away. You could have hung 100 on them if you wanted to, but they didn't. But I thought you walked away from here. I feel better this year, game 2, than I did last year, game 2.
No game this early is a must game. But when you look at what went on last year, at the end of last year, Arkansas cannot afford a bad loss in Stillwater on Saturday.
And I don't think it would be if they lost. I think it's going to be a good game. But, boy, I tell you what, Sully, if you flip that statement, if you win that game, then all of a sudden you beat UAB at home. You should. And all of a sudden you're starting to feel you go to Auburn, who's good, who's better this year. But it would be a tremendous win if you get that. You talk about a confidence builder in this team. And all of a sudden people look around and finally go, wow, maybe the Hogs are back with Petrino and gang. I think it will have that kind of effect.
I thought Mike Gundy made a good point today. He said when we faced South Dakota State, he said it wasn't like facing an Arkansas. They had maybe 3 guys that could play physically on that defense. That now you're going to look across, both teams are going to look across the line of scrimmage and see teams that look like them. This is going to be a new experience this season for both teams.
Yeah, I think for the players that have experience, in the SEC, they're going to look at Oklahoma State and go, they don't look tougher
That's
some
right.
of the teams we've been playing against. They actually look more. They look a little bit like us. So that's why I think, I think it's going to be a really close game, and it'll be interesting to see, who makes mistakes. You didn't see many mistakes. When you're better than your opponent like we were last week, you don't see as many mistakes, so you're so much better physically. But we won't be perfect this time. That'll be how do we handle, adversity when things don't go as well this game.
I'm interested to see Taylor Green under stress. How he operates. Does he take off? Does he throw into coverage? Does he throw it out of bounds?
Yeah, I think if you're Coach Bobby Petrino, I think you put in his ear, hey, listen, you're a stud. You run. If because what it does, all of a sudden, it tires the defensive line, gets them discouraged. Like, oh man, we have him wrapped up. There he goes. His feet are the difference maker. I mean, he's different than KJ Jefferson. He's going to go. He can go the distance. He can pick up 20 a lot faster.
He's closer to Matt Jones.
That's right. That's a good comparison. So yeah, I think he's going to tell him. And of course, I think he wants him to make the right throws. But I also think if you've got an avenue, go for it.
The right decisions in the read option. He can be dynamic on that play because he is such a threat to pull it.
Yeah.
If he makes the right decisions on that read option Saturday, we could have some big runs from the tailback or him.
And I tell you, quarterbacks who are good at that, again, I don't know, I haven't watched him play enough, but I've been around quarterbacks. You get good at that, and man, it's tough. I mean, you're tough to stop when you make good reads on those kind of option plays. And again, that's what makes it difficult. Then, you just saw a little sprinkle of the tight end, and all of a sudden, that tight end, Bobby Petrino, one of the things he likes to throw to the tight ends, and he likes to throw to the backside of the backfield. And we just saw a little sprinkle of that in the game. I think you'll see more of that against Oklahoma State.
One thing I noticed around the league with the SEC is outside of a couple of teams, South Carolina, Florida, A&M, boy, the quarterback play is good. And you've got to have a good quarterback. I mean, Tennessee, wow.
I know. He may be the most impressive kid I saw.
Yeah.
I mean, he made it look easy. And then, Ole Miss. Everybody thought, well, Arkansas was going to be the number one offensive in America at the first game. No, sorry. Ole Miss scored 76. Tennessee scored 69. Yeah, it's just the offense these days, man. I'm so glad I don't play now because I would not. I like stopping the run. I did not like the pass.
And I think it shows you got to have a good quarterback these days.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to have a good season, you got to have a guy you believe in and you trust.
I think so too, Sully. The one area we didn't get to see very much of Saturday was special teams in terms of field goals, punting, and those things. So that's the only. So we go in this first game with another question. We lost our which snapper? Which Stein?
Eli Stein.
Was he the deep snapper or?
I think he was doing both.
Well, he said no. I think that's what.
He was doing both last year.
Yeah, Pittman said you only doing one. That's why he left.
I didn't miss him on. We didn't snap much.
Yeah, I know that's what I'm saying. So that will be something new.
We snapped an extra points.
I know that's what I said. So that we did see that, but we didn't see field goal. We didn't see any punts.
Yeah. It may have been called back, but how good does Isaiah Satania feel about returning punts right now when he took one to the house in the opening game?
I played with Bobby Joe Adams. You remember him, and of course you look at all the other great returners we've had, Joe Adams and others. It's just a difference maker, man. It's just one mistake, and you're going to lose 20, 30 yards there in the punt game and for your opponent. So I'm excited. He's a confident kid, and I think he'll return a lot of yards this year.
Oaklawn Sports is so simple to use, anyone can do it. Probably even an ex-football player.
And you can take it anywhere. Pocket size, sort of like you, Raj.
Small perhaps, but powerful, like this offer.
Sign up now for Oaklawn Sports and get up to $1,000 in bonus bets.
That's like a do-over in case you make a questionable decision.
Too bad they can't do that for haircuts.
I'm calling your mom.
Now with new and easy funding options. Bet with the brand you trust. Bet with Oaklawn Sports.
Woo!
Light it. We can take people where most people cannot take them.
The generations coming together.
That place was jumping.
The Triple Option, presented by Wendy's, wherever you get your podcasts.
In games like this, we saw Saturday for UCA, David Walker, their stud defensive end, a strip fumble at the end of the game. Yeah. You need guys, Landon Jackson, Cam Ball. These are your studs on the line. They got to play this week.
Well, this is how, if you, as an old guy who used to love to stop the run, it's about those big guys up front taking up blocks or penetrating. So they set the tempo. So you saw USC last night. Surprisingly, for most of the game, sort of stuff LSU. They had some success LSU did at some point. But it's that defensive line that sets the tempo for stopping the run. And so, this is our first test. I hope they play well. I think they will. But you got really two veteran lines there going against each other.
You said this early before the season. This is the game that sets the tone.
Yeah, this is the one. You get this, You get this, and man, all of a sudden the confidence, boom, through the roof. If you don't, it's a top 15 team. But if you can get this one against a top 15 team, you guys, you get some momentum going.
How much of his playbook do you think Bobby Petrino showed in that opener?
Oh, I think anybody can go back and look at his 25, 35-year career and see a little bit of everything. I think what we saw, I think everybody knew he's so great at crossing routes and trying to find soft spots in zones and man and mismatches. And I don't think I'm sure we didn't see all of it, Sully, but I think for most defensive coordinators are like, that. I could go back and look at 1,000 films, and they're all going to have these same kind of elements.
You know what I'm looking forward to?
What's that?
The first 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, because I know the call is coming from.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. Yeah.
There won't be much of a discussion. I think it's going to be Sam's going to say, Bobby, what are you going to do?
Yeah, and I did you sense, Sully, in the way – I know there were some people that didn't like the fact that we were running up the score, but I heard Sam after the game say, we had to get these kids some confidence.
Yeah.
We're playing a big game next week, our backup players and all that. I just sensed the way they played, even though it was UAPB, there's some confidence. And so – I sort of feel the fact that Bobby Petrino came out the first play. Remember, Tyler Wilson said, he's going to run the ball. No, first play, he throws it down the middle. It wasn't a good pass, but I think that's the mentality of Bobby. It's like, I'm back, let's go.
Yeah. Think about a year ago, he lost all his quarterbacks at A&M.
Yeah.
How good did Malachi Singleton feel? And KJ Jackson, they ran the same offense, and hey, UAPB got a check. They got a big check. And Arkansas did not take the penalty to start the game for the uniforms the first half, And
Sully,
is 70-0 any different than 50-0?
No, but Sully, back on Malachi Singleton, I'm not so sure he didn't look more impressive in the passing part of the game, just as far as quick decision, boom, boom, boom. He was impressive. So it's a good thing to know that something happens to Taylon Green. You got a kid there that looked like he was very confident, and his arm strength looked good, and he was on the money and accurate.
I think you're to the point with those two quarterbacks. If Taylon gets shook during a game, Bobby isn't going to hesitate.
Yeah. Again, I had heard good things that were happening with him on camp, and I'd seen him play a little bit. He's a good-looking athlete.
Yeah.
But, boy, I'm telling you, he walked in there, zip, 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 zip. I was like, nice.
What other things do you look going forward from that opener do you want to see that you're not real sure about right now?
The secondary, I still want to see us in the secondary. Do we have the ability? I think we'll be tested. We've got a lot of names maybe you don't recognize in the secondary and see how we can do. I'm really hoping if we don't get pressure up front, Sully, I think it's going to be another kind of those average years. Landon Jackson and all these guys, Cam Ball, have been there 20 years, it seems. They need to be disruptive. I want to see some disruptive plays by the defense. I don't want to see a secondary that's in the right place making some plays. And so, of course, you look last night, LSU struggled. It's not easy stopping these offenses today. Yeah. It's not easy to do it. And even last night you saw a very good LSU team. But I want to see our secondary. I want to see the progress that Travis Williams has made.
You knew who popped on the defensive line. It may have been just UAPB, but Nico DeValier.
Yeah, he did. He had a good game.
And if this is the season he steps up, what does he add to that defense? He's an athletic guy. Yeah. He plays with a lot of energy.
Yeah, again, Sully, great defenses have defensive lines that make plays. And we just haven't had them making plays. I think Landon Jackson had a little spurt last year but we need all of a sudden it's a sack, it's a hurry, it's a sack, it's a tackle for loss. That's what this defensive line needs to do.
You know what I like about Green and Jackson?
What's that?
They play with a little swagger.
Yeah.
I mean, when Jackson scored, he pointed at the cheerleaders. I mean, I don't want taunting.
There's no question.
I want guys that think they're good.
Listen, I just got through. We had Brett Favre at the touchdown club, and I got Ray Lewis coming in. Sully, those guys played the game with a lot of enthusiasm, and it was running their mouth a little bit, but that's sort of what made them be special. Run your mouth a little bit, back it up, and have some fun.
It's like Bobby Petrino. I heard him on an interview talk about how they took a beating when they were freshmen, the Jay Wrights and the guys from Warren and Joe Adams. Yeah. But by the time they were juniors, they had the idea that no one's stopping them.
Yeah, and nobody hardly did.
Yeah, and this is going to be fun. 11 a.m. kick. You're a believer that's good for the visiting team.
Always felt that way. Doesn't mean you're going to win, but I would much rather play when – and I listen, don't you hate when Arkansas has 11 o'clock kicks?
Yeah.
People get there late. Yeah. You're sort of flat-footed. Again, doesn't always correlate to the change in the score. But I know this much. I hate going to Razorback games at 11 o'clock just because it eliminates tailgating. It eliminates getting there early, getting fired up, and the crowd is – I mean, listen, I'm sure the crowd will get there early. They'll be ready for Arkansas, but not like it would be if it's at night.
I know one of the most proud things of your Razorback career, you were named captain.
Yes.
What do you think – I haven't got your thoughts on this. What do you think this year where they're naming 4 captains per game?
Sully, that's the way we did it when I played.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, not many people. I didn't like it. I thought that I think you should have named the captains before. But what they did with us, we would have individual game captains, and at the very end of the year, we'd have a big meeting, and Coach would say, name it. Now, it was with Hatfield. I can't even remember for Holtz, but I was named captain along with Andy Upchurch, Greg Lasker, and Nick Miller after the season was over. Now, did I have to be named a captain to be a leader? No, I was a leader throughout the year. But it'd be nice. I think it'd be cool to have that C to show that you've in the two-a-days or spring or whatever that you showed that. But hey, it is what it is. It's not going to stop Landon Jackson from playing hard if he doesn't have a C on his jersey.
Hey, I'm going to go back to the linebackers.
Yeah.
You played 4 guys about 20 snaps.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing? Would you like to see 2 guys get the majority of snaps?
No, I'm okay with that. Again, if the like I gave the example, if the level of play is really close, I like now if you've got one that's your dominant one, maybe get him 60-40, maybe give it 60-40 snaps. But I do like having fresh guys if the other guys are right there with them. And maybe, for example, I love blitzing. I love to blitz, and so maybe hey, you leave Bazzel in there. Or Nick's in there when he's ready to go, and use him for particular types. But I don't have a problem with it yet, so long as they're equal. And we've seen it before because they did when I played. But we hadn't seen it in Arkansas in a while. They have 4 good linebackers.
And one thing we saw last week was vanilla defense. We won't see that this week.
Yeah, that's what I'm anxious to see. How aggressive is Travis Williams against a 7th-year quarterback and a All-American running back? Let me tell you, if you're defense, if you're Travis Williams, you go, man, you got the Doak Walker winner over there. Shut him down. Don't let him get to three figures.
Yeah.
You keep him below 100. Keep him below 100.
Yeah,
no, you don't break a play. Don't break a long run. You keep him contained.
You got to get him to the point where he doesn't want carry number 25.
Yeah, but what that means, Sully, that means you maybe crowd the line of scrimmage, and what is that? You're susceptible in the backside.
Yeah.
So our secondary has to step up and play well.
One stat that I loved about this defense a year ago, they had their issues in games, but they didn't allow many big plays.
Yeah.
I think they were one of the few in the country that
until the end of the year
didn't allow a run over 50 yards and only one pass over 50 yards.
Yeah, that was one of the improvements of the team on defense most of the year until they got to the end, and it just fell apart. But so I think Travis Williams coaches that. Again, when you're playing against a running back like Ollie.
Yeah, Ollie Gordon.
Ollie Gordon, rather. Yes, you don't want him. It's demoralizing for him to break a run. So you just keep him bottled up. You know what? South Dakota State did that for most of the game until the second half, and you also, what else you need, Sully? You need gang tackling. You need 2 or 3 guys around the ball, and that's a hustle element. That's the hustle part of the game.
A big picture, it's SEC against Big 12, and rather if it's basketball or football, we think we're the better conference.
That's right.
And we know we're the better conference.
They would love to beat us. You know that. They'd love to. In the SEC. 1 and 3 in the 4 big games this weekend for the SEC.
And this would be big for the conference to get Arkansas to step up, a team that went 4-8 a year ago.
A way to say we're back.
Yeah.
At least we're back for now. That we can go on the road and beat a top 20 team.
When we look back at this game, what are the stats that you think are winning stats for Arkansas? What do they have to do?
I think keeping Gordon, I think big plays and keeping Gordon below 100. I think if you keep Gordon below 100. And you play good defense on the backside, I think we win the game, Sully. I think if we don't give up big plays, I think we're offensively potent enough to score points. I just think, can we contain them, not give up big plays in the passing game, and keep Gordon to under 100 yards?
What'd you glean from Bobby Petrino in your visit with him after the game?
I think he was really, we went down every element, every player on the roster, and he was very complimentary of each one. They all did what he expected. So I think, he could have easily said, hey, we got to get better here. And he didn't say we've arrived, but he was very complimentary of every player group that he had there. 14 different receivers caught the ball.
Wow.
I think there were 9 different running backs, 3 of those quarterbacks, so 6 different running backs. So I think he liked the fact that, hey, that's what we're telling everybody. He said everybody got a little confidence, everybody got a little of that taste. They taste that blood in the water. Let's give me some more. Let's go get it.
I saw the depth chart today, and running back, it's still Rodney Hill in that second spot.
Yeah, saw
it's
that.
Braylon in the third, and Dominion still running 4.
Braylon looked good too, man. He's a good-looking kid.
Yeah, Bobby Petrino loves those big backs.
Yeah, he does. And but again, Jackson is the guy. That's another thing too, Sully. If Jackson has a good game, I tell you, if Jackson has like around 100+ yards. You better watch out, because if he's getting 100 yards, then you've got Taylor Green running around, then you can throw to the tight end, all those things. That really keeps you off balance.
Yeah, and he's a guy who's dangerous out of the backfield catching the ball. When you get him in open space at his size.
Yeah, and if you're having trouble in the offensive line, that's what you do. Get him outside the box real quickly. So.
Yeah, we've noticed early on this podcast will be a lot more fun after wins.
Yes. Yes. When we come back next week, it will be much more fun if it's a W.
All right. Appreciate you, Baz.
Yes,
Any prediction before we leave on a score or what you think is? You see a high-scoring game or a?
As you know, Sully. Oakland. I'm going to be leaning towards the Razorbacks. That's what I'm going to do, Sully. I'm a homer. I'm sorry. Can't help it.
All right. Thanks for tuning in to the Hog Central Podcast. I want to appreciate the folks at Oakland Sports for sponsoring